What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am your host, Ryan Angott, of our brand spanking new podcast, Delegate to Innovate, coming out of Royal Oak, Michigan, in my basement with a little bit of a liquor buffet behind me. Don't worry, I haven't tapped into it yet. My first guest, John Glon, business mentor, friend, visionary, entrepreneur. John, welcome to the show.
Dude, love being here, man. Can't wait to get into those bottles. If only
Me
I was
too.
on site.
Yes, me too. Well, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. As you know, full transparency, this is episode one, season one. I'm coming right out of the gate, hitting with the big wigs. That's why I invited you on. But
Yeah.
no, I do appreciate you coming on. We've obviously known each other for a couple of years in a business and friendship capacity. So thanks for joining. I know you're busy. You got a lot of stuff going on. So the audience knows a little bit of bio about John. Avid golfer, big family man, 4 kids. Loves Marco Island. I ran into John about a month ago down there. It was kind of ironic.
Hmm.
Business guru. And what I love about not only your company of Great Lakes Essential Power that you started about 10 years ago, but how you've really morphed into kind of a consultant or coach, really, to mentor other visionaries that you say have lost the definition of success. And I think that's a really important topic for successful entrepreneurs or business people. What is that metric that defines you? Is it about a sales number? Is it about working, or spending less time working with your family? So I'd like to open it up there with just kind of describing how you went from grinding business guy with a new business 10 years ago at Great Lakes to how you evolved and morphed into this coach for visionaries. So tell me more.
Yeah, I think that I don't think I'm different than many folks who, grow up wanting to do better than their parents or whatnot, right? So came into the world in the corporate world, realized that wasn't for me, and having bosses wasn't really my thing, right? And so then you jump into starting companies, and then your definition of success starts to become the house. And the more people you meet in the business world, it's about, oh, how big is your company? And so it turns into one thing where you're sacrificing. Depends on what you really want, right? I do have 4 kids. My first two, I made a joke. They didn't know my name, right? At a point. And my wife was pretty instrumental at reminding me about that too, by the way. So step one, have a wife that pulls you back in, right?
Yep.
And so for me, I realized that I was being owned I didn't really own a business. I was doing a job and working a lot more, caring a lot more, stressing a lot more than my people, and really ultimately making a lot less per hour. Was an aha. But then the more I just put some structure around my business and great people around me, I realized I needed to create a different definition for myself for what success was. And there's a long road and a long journey to get there for that.
And your magic answer was what? Like, because I struggle with this right now. I mean, you know what I'm
Yeah.
doing. I'm grinding like a madman, not making
Yeah.
squat.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have a mark, or how do you educate entrepreneurs? Because this show is about entrepreneurs, small businesses, people that want to grow personally and professionally. How do you achieve that target and define it so you can kind of tell people, like, dude, what's your happy land? Like, how do you get there?
I think one thing is for people, there's no timeline or real magic wand to get there.
Hmm.
Some people are already intuitively, internally focused and can pull that out of themselves. Some of us, we have an external vision of what we're supposed to look like and do based on, again, maybe the accolades we got from someone else. Ooh, that feels good, so let me keep going and do that, right? So there's no real timeline of what to fit. And really, part of it to be a really successful entrepreneur sometimes is to ignore that because you got to jump in and grind, right? For me, finding that was I've told myself really, gosh, the last 20 years, like I just need to get away. Like my life would get stressful, whether it be kids, whether it would be, obviously the business. Like, man, if I could just get away for 2 days, I could figure this out. And you find yourself not having time to do that because you feel guilty because you've already away from your family. So you don't want to leave and go away from your family. Your business is running you, etc. And so for me, that turned into I ran into Bob Schenefeld, who is a visionary coach for the iMatter system, and someone told me about he does this thing of going to the mountain, and it just resonated with me. And it really is going away with a small group of people, and there's just a great process of no drugs, but going through this process of hiking and having these spiritual conversations of getting away to figure out internally who you are. And on that journey, there's a shaman. His name is Leaf Running Rabbit, and he leads you through some things. There's a sweat lodge, etc. And he could tell that I was having some inner monologue, right, about how this was going down. And I'd asked him, hey, we're all just trying to figure out what the instruction manual is. And just like anybody else, right? So he says it's inside of you, and and how do you tap into that? It's through meditation. All these things that we've heard, you and I've talked about this numerous times, that you hear a different way, but it just hit me that my instruction manual is inside, and it's up to me to figure that out. No one else is going to figure that out, and I just needed some time to really clear my space and head. So that was really the pivotal moment for me. Was going to the mountain, and again, it can become figurative now in my mind. I can get myself there. That's what changed it for me. And that was really saying, hey, all of these things that I have and do, is this really serving me? Is it serving my family? Or is it this fictitious thing that we create in our head about like success, right? Came from nothing and trying to become something really big. And what is that? And so I think the real answer of how we find that is just keep checking ourselves, and be around people that do challenge you to think about that, right? That's ultimately, we need that edge, right? Ryan Angott, what makes you and your success is your edge of, man, you don't quit, and you're willing to put in all the effort because you see it. You're excited about the end. You don't want to lose that, right? In the beginning. Yeah. And then as you start feeling success, what that really looks like to be a true entrepreneur, you can start settling in a little bit, right?
So would you say that mountain, and I think it's very intriguing for a lot of people, is that a lot of people are in the same show. They're grinding, they're trying, they're working, they got wife, kids, life. Especially I feel like that maybe 35 or 40 years old to like 50, 55. You're in that real meaty part of, you got little kids, you got aging parents, and by the way, you're in your thick of your career, where this is kind of your time to make it and build a long future financially, and everyone gets so caught up in that. I mean, I'm one of them. That's kind of your daily barometer. But tell me, and we could of course have another chapter on mountain mushroom tours that are the not sober experience, which I've heard about, but I'm not quite there yet. But just like when you went there, like, what was it like? How did you have this like aha? Because it sounds like that was kind of your aha, like, I'm going to change how I look at life and my lens. I got to think differently. And that, I think, is so important for anybody in today's day and age. So can you tell me more like how it just opened your eyes, like that clarity break?
I think, and actually that's a good word, clarity break. It was really an extended one. It was really about some like-minded people, because what I realized is as much as I'd tried to do it myself, read books, so, I realized I hadn't read a fiction book in 10 years, but I'd read 400 self-help books, right? I realized at the time I didn't have the ability to pull that on myself. And so what changed it was having people and uncapped vulnerability of letting it all out there, and not just for me, but it was equal parts 5-6 other people going through this journey together, asking questions like, hey, this is really, I'm saying something, but someone hears that I'm shielding myself from something. That's not the real issue. So someone there to really ask questions to help push deeper, not accuse or not tell us how to do things, but it was really us asking each other more questions to dive deeper. That to me really helped open things up, is not doing it on my own. I know some people have that, again, innate ability to do that. I now am better at it through some practice and uncovering in the thick layers of candy shells that we built up over time through our childhood, et cetera. Having someone else help me through that. I think that's really the ultimate lesson in anything for me, is doing it alone
Yeah.
It takes a lot longer, and you never know if it's the right thing. So having those people with you to help guide you in whatever it might be. I'm a firm believer, as you know, and I know you are as well,
Yeah.
of surrounding myself with people that are going to help raise me up.
Yeah. And I'm a personal testament to my operating manual. I mean, for when you helped us out, or me really, to have some more thought in kind of a coaching manner to force you to think about priorities and what you want out of life. And I mean, right now I'm consumed and sucked into life and getting, I've got two startups. One is obviously Tech Lock that consumes every bit of 60 hours a week for me and a lot of my mind share. And it's really hard to get unstuck out of that. And I think that's where value of an outside person of like, wait, like, why are you doing this? Like, what's the lot? Like, what are your priorities? Don't you get so embroiled into your business or an issue that you lose sight of other more important things in life or other balance that I personally was a testament to. So,
No, absolutely. And you've got a beautiful family that you know that your why is them,
sure.
right? And that's what we uncovered together. And so again, there is some, hey, I can grind for this a little bit because it is to show them a better way, right? To show them the right life. So, no, absolutely. It's been a joy working with you, man. Always a riot.
It's been fun. Are you, do you go back to the mountain every year?
I have been back 3 different times. I don't have plans yet this year, but I do need to put that on the calendar. Actually, I took my wife and I went for our 15-year anniversary. Didn't do the same thing, but here's the other thing: entrepreneurs, visionaries. We generally surround ourselves again like with like-minded people, or we are carnivorous in our learning and getting better and doing everything ourselves better. And not everyone else, like potentially, our wives, right? My wife stays at home, raises our 4 beautiful kids. It's the hardest job in the world.
Yeah.
But she doesn't get that same opportunity that I got to go gallivant off. So it was great giving her that same opportunity and for us to be in that quiet. Every time we go on a vacation, right? We're with kids now, or it's onto a beach, or it's, we grew up we met in college. So we've always had a great time going on vacation wherever it might be. But taking that type of vacation was a little different,
Oh, I
and
bet.
so beneficial for us both.
Yeah. I can't even imagine like just being, if Jen and I were here Friday night, we didn't have any kids and we just hung out the house. It was like
Yeah.
I didn't cook because I don't cook, but I ordered in. It was effort. I lit candles. I did flowers. I had a nice little setup
Oh, nice.
and it was quiet. And when you're in the ruckus of life, I have 2, you have 4. I can't even imagine 3 days of peace because that sounds like a very peaceful, tranquil, serene setting that I could see being kind of a good recharge the batteries. Let's unclog the filter and kind of get back to what's important in life.
No, absolutely. And I know you and Jenna do, lots of planning, family stuff weekly and all that. Imagine doing like your annual planning and goal setting session in that type of environment to like really unclog all the stuff because she's involved in your other ventures too, right? So, but just as planning a family, that's what gets put on the back burner also, right? We plan, we quarterly, we do all these things about our business,
Yeah.
but putting some intentionality about what we're going to do as a family is pretty powerful too.
Yeah. It's a good point and a point of reflection. I think myself included in a lot of business people that are very driven, that want to take things to the next level. I think about my days consistently, 10, 12-hour days all the time. I think nothing of it because it's kind of whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. But what is the most important fundamental of your life? It's your personal life, your health, but your family, your surroundings. I mean, that's your DNA being. And oftentimes I find myself, okay, 12-hour day, no problem. I got to deal with emails or sale, finance, whatever. Like, okay, I grind through it. But a lot of times, and we've done therapy, we do some therapy if we need some help on our marriage. A lot of people will say like, oh, I'm not spending that hour to work on our marriage from a consultant. But yet you have no problem spending $5-10 a month on different consultants to help run your business.
Right,
So I think kind of a mental check or self-check frame of mind, we have to reprioritize things as business owners and entrepreneurs that sometimes gets neglected. I think that's your point.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so let's move on. We'll get the wives out of it. We got good women. Saw
Yeah.
your wife in Marco Island not too long ago.
Yep.
I got a couple topics of discussion. Visionary journey, the
Hmm.
strikes, the gutters, losing, finding your way. Tell me more about, in your experience, how you handle the gutters, how you handle the wins, how you celebrate them, the balance of that. Like, give me more about how you balance highs and lows. Could be life, could be business, could be anything, and how you embrace that as part of your DNA.
You know, I think visionary. I think is a odd to define, right? Some people hear it and they think, oh, you think you're some gallivanting whatever, right? Because someone just used it against me in a meeting yesterday. There's your dad, right? You guys are like through the roof visionaries, meaning there's an idea and you're going to go chase it. My version of visionary is emotionally, I'm up. I get excited about things. I do see improvement. I do see ways we can improve things in our own industry, et cetera. I'm not an inventor, right? So different versions of that,
God
right?
bless you. You don't need to be. It's
Yes,
nice.
yes, yes. And but bottom line is we as visionaries are we're a roller coaster, right? We ride the highs, right? But man, when it crashes, we go down with it. And I think that with my own journey, with my own company, with Great Lakes Central Power, right? We doubled year after year after year, and then we didn't. And then, I was betting on some big things happening because in my visionary world, I thought it was a great idea. And everybody just got excited because I got excited. And so everybody in the whole company moves and shifts that way. Well, the nature of our business, it takes a year to figure out whether that was a good idea or not. And we didn't check some things. We didn't follow all the processes. Again, working genius is a whole other thing of, hey, the work, did we really decide this was a good idea? So then for a year plus, this was COVID, right? So, living down in that gutter of the stress, and we as entrepreneurs, we have all that stress on us, right? We built this thing because we want other people. Like my why is to help other people grow. And I had this business not because I love selling electrical equipment, but it's because I love employing people and making them better. And man, when the business is not doing well, we take it all on the chin. We take it all on ourselves. What did I do wrong? Man, I could have done this better. With that, instead of giving us grace that, hey, you know what? By the way, we've had a damn good run here and we're doing great things for these people. So again, I think it's just and Ryan, going through your journey here with trying to get new products out, it, right? It's like, I got everybody wanting to buy our product one day and then the next day, oh, we can't sell it for 2 weeks, or, oh, lead times are terrible. So those are the things that, that we live with. And we're just emotional beasts and beings. And, but yet we put a Teflon. Most people think we're immune to it all because we hide it most of the times. And so having a visionary journey too, that just sounded like, speaking of mushrooms, I've heard of the journey, that's not what I'm getting at here. But, I think that visionary journey is understanding all that and being around like-minded people and different things, whether it's, being around people that can accelerate you, right? Having your own group, being mentored, around all of it, whether it's on the visionary side or on the operational side or on the personal side, being around peer groups, other people that are, again, whether it be Vistage, which we're both part of, or EO or Visionary Forum, right? We can all take this journey, certainly as visionaries. We are out here to change the world in some form or fashion. And if we don't complete that full journey, which in the end is really sharing what we're in this world to share with people and to teach them, and if we're just grinding away trying to build big business, and we're not fulfilling that and putting it back into the world, mentoring others, and again, really giving back in some form or fashion that's not just monetary, we're really depriving this world of the greatness that all of the visionaries are, right? I mean, how many small businesses are here in the U.S. alone, and we are the backbone of the economy, and we shouldn't take that lightly. So, I think that's ultimately, for me, is most people think being an entrepreneur or business owner, it's all fun and games, right? We ride the roller coaster that most people that are just employees, they don't know what stress is. They don't know what the highs are, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Heavy Lies the Crown.
Yeah.
From one of my favorite movies. Do you know what movie that's from? Heavy
Uh,
Lies the Crown.
is that Princess Bride?
No.
Damn.
Far from it. The Departed.
Oh, okay,
The
got it, got
Jack
it. Oh, yeah,
Nicholson
yeah, yeah.
says to Leo, Leo's like, I could run this gang. I could be head. Frank, I could be
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
And he's like, but I don't want to be you. Who wants to be at the top? Heavy Lies the Crown. I
yeah,
say
yeah,
to my friends, like, you think you want to be king. You think
yeah,
you want to be the president of the United States. Let's not get into politics. Oh
yeah,
my God, you want a job that I would. Oh, you want packed with hard decisions every day that impacts lives, humanity. Oh, be a king, be a president,
yeah,
obviously there's perks to it, but a lot of people don't see the decisions that have to go on in any organization that have an impact to lives. It just does,
yeah.
in many different faucets of life. So, yeah, interesting take on it,
Mhm.
but I agree with you. Let's talk a little bit more. We've got a few minutes left. Then we're going to hit up lightning round. I want some
All right.
quick, hot answers, John.
Yes, sir.
Working genius. You mentioned it a couple times. Tell me more about what that means and our audience, our small audience right now, soon to be massive in
Massive.
scale. What that
Tell me how
means,
you do it, buddy.
finding joy in innovation, etc.
Yeah, I think this is something that I ran across just running my business. It's Patrick Lencioni, his latest work that came out 3 or 4 years ago, and it's just so simple. And because again, being a part of a large organization or trying to run my own, and how do we having different assessments for your organization? I've struggled with them, right? Because I've done probably 8, and I don't know that I ever took anything from. I can't recall really much of them. Working Genius was one because we had it in a Vistage session, and it just resonated with me. So simple, and not just because of the assessment, because it's about productivity and about finding joy, and that's for me is really tied to me is my own passion is loving what we do. So back to what we were talking about, like, hey, if you're grinding your way for 12 hours and you love what you're doing, it doesn't feel like 12 hours. But if you're doing, like for me, if I'm doing spreadsheets and trying to do a task list, it feels like that was 4 days worth of work. So one that resonated with me of like, because I've tried to do that with my own company, like if you're not happy doing it, then let's find you something else. But it gave me language, and it was so simple that I ran it through my own company, and everyone got it like that. And I know if you've been a part of trying to manage that through an organization, if there's pushback and people have to like, oh, how should I work around this person, etc. No, the beauty of it is work follows the same 6 steps, 6 types of genius, right? Wonder, invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, and tenacity. Work follows the same process. So you can use the same language about how you are most productive, what you enjoy doing, and you can tie it to the actual work being done and being innovative. And it's so easy to point to when I mentioned discernment earlier, when we made a bad decision in the business. Had we followed the step that work should follow, we would have decided, wait a minute, we haven't thought of any other options. All we heard was John come up with an idea and everybody ran with it, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it really helped. It really helps have an easy, simple conversation about how to get innovative work done. And there are people that love doing stuff that we hate doing, and we can celebrate all of it, right? So, we all have 2 geniuses, we all have 2 frustrations. If we can live in our genius as much as possible, the energy is through the roof, right?
Yeah.
I don't need my Zip Fizz or 2 hour or 5 hour energy in the afternoon when I'm doing what I love doing,
Yeah.
right? And it's just so simple. I mean, really, people can go out, do an assessment on their own and have their own ahas. But the real power is when you get the whole group together and you get to celebrate what everyone else is great at and start looking at the work about how do we share this? Speaking of an entrepreneur who's solopreneur or trying to crank away by themselves, right? Getting an assistant that can match the things that you're not good at, right? Handing things around, or when you know you're not good at it, get in and get out. You don't have to have an organization of 100 people to get use out of that,
Yeah.
right? And so it can be, again, I just think it's so wonderful and simple. And the best thing we get to do is celebrate people enjoying what they do. What a novel concept, huh? And
Well,
yet,
I love it.
you
It's
know,
a great lead in. I mean, you know the name of the podcast, Delegate to Innovate. You've mentioned Delegate. I think you mentioned Innovate. And I think the core that I learned from, I think it was Doug Frutel. He coined the phrase, maybe Bob did it. Coach Bob was live in your zone of genius.
yeah,
So, I was a customer in the VA industry and I found myself bogged down with so many things that kept me out of my zone of genius. So tell me more how you delegate to get to your zone of genius so you can just keep people focused on what they love and what they're great at. Any examples for the audience?
sure. I mean, one thing that is actually is, US calls it delegate and elevate. I love the delegate to innovate is simply brainstorming all the stuff that you do. And it's hard, especially when depending, and this can be anyone in any organization, right? It's not just, the leader is write down all the things you do, all the small stuff, everything you do, write it all down. And then you can put it in quadrants. Am I good at this, but I don't love doing it? Am I great at it and I love doing it? And then lower quadrant is I hate it, I'm terrible, and I'm good at it, or I've gotten good at it, but I don't love doing it. And below that line is figuring out, okay, what can I do with that bottom line stuff? Who can I get this to that has a love and a passion for these things? So if everyone in your organization is doing this same thing, it's easy to mix and match.
Yep.
But when you don't have enough people, you could give yourself a target to say, you know what, 20%, I'm going to get 20% of those things on that line this month. I'm going to move them to someone that can do that and celebrate them in doing it. Because many times people think it'll take more time for me to teach someone to do it, so I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
No, you're investing in your future.
I did that exercise. I don't know if you were there. It was about a year and a half ago with Doug Frutel. We did that 4-box exercise, and we had some pretty intense conversations. I remember my dad was in the room, and Dennis and a few others. But I swear to you, that phase of our business was this like, okay, how much of a run are we going to make at TechLock? Like, if we're going to take this to another gear, raise capital, go big, make this a $100 million business, we have to really put in that strategic thought up front of who's doing what and delegate and organize and stay in your zone of genius. So I think it's a great, I saw what it did for us in our business. I think we probably should redo it again, actually, now that you're talking about it. But I don't think enough people think through that type of concept. So
And then you layer that with, because it really gives you good language, is everyone has a working genius. They have their assessment. And many times those things below are task driven, right? That someone of your invention genius, right, getting bogged down into doing something like that. When you have everyone around you in your group, they've taken the assessment. And again, by the way, 60% of the world is their genius is, that's not true. 60% of the work is ENT, is down that tenacity and able to get that work done. But the majority of the people that have taken the 600 plus thousand of those assessments, they're in that ENT phase because that's where all the work is. But you can clearly say, hey, you know what? You look at that task and say, you know what? This isn't an innovation task. This isn't a discernment or a galvanizing or whatever task. This is just getting shit done. Yeah. And, oh, by the way, Jim over here loves doing that stuff. So it's a really easy conversation. And he'll gladly say, awesome, because I don't want to go live in your tree trying to figure out all new kinds of ways to fly a kite. I want you to tell me to hold this string and go do that, right? So it can be a beautiful marriage of doing that list and then having the team together to hand it over to the right person.
I love it. Well, we're going to get wrapped up here. Before lightning round, John, you got a 1-minute pitch on what is we know a little bit about Great Lakes Essential, which kind of caters to a different audience.
Yep.
For our viewers in the mass of LinkedIn, a lot of other entrepreneurs, tell us more about my operating manual.
You know, really where my life is turned into is I want to help leaders and their teams grow. That is with growing companies and with growing personally.
Not mushrooms?
Not unless it's a mushroom growing company. I'm happy to help them.
That's possible.
Absolutely. But I want to help leadership teams and companies grow. And so I am a growth coach for leadership teams and their companies, and I use the Bloom Growth System, which has 8 core principles of really how to grow and scale up a company. And so I go in, curated, I manage and facilitate quarterly meetings, annual meetings, and really my role is to not tell people how to do things. I have some very core principles of things to follow, but then ask questions and pull it out of the team that's there. Because people aren't going to follow an idea that was told to them. They're going to follow an idea that they came up with collectively. Yeah. So that's what my operating manual is the holistic view of helping humans build great companies.
Great. Well, hopefully I can follow that path. I know I've worked with you. Well, you do consulting for us, and marking off that day, it's painful because you got so much stuff going on. But every time I walk out of there, I go, oh, I'm so glad we did that to help us get in line with others in the company, stay on track, keep our eye on the prize, and work strategically towards an end goal. So I love it. I'm a walking billboard for it. Anybody can call me, John Glon, my operating manual. Let's have a little fun, couple minutes. I'm going to start with some easy ones. I'm not going to put you under too much pressure here, Johnny boy.
All right, let me get a drink here. Let me get ready.
Early bird or night owl?
I'm an early bird.
What time do you wake up? Typically.
About 5:15.
Whoa! Woo! Should be a PA like my wife. One thing you can't live without, and you can't say Ryan Angott because we know that's for sure.
One thing I cannot live without, it feels like the chaos of life, right? My family and getting up and hearing the pitter-patter of some small feet, some bigger feet, and just absolute noise. Can't live without it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say your lap walk, but that'll work as well. You like the city life or the countryside life?
Oh, I would say I think I err on the country life, and I love to visit the city.
I would echo that.
Yeah.
I like that. Comfort food you can't go without. You got a cheat meal. Let's just say if you got a cheat meal, we both, we try to watch our appearance.
Yeah.
And we're now middle-aged men.
Yeah.
You look at a carbohydrate, goes right to your ass. But give me a meal that you're like, that's it. You're going to the death chair tomorrow. What's your meal?
You know what? I'm going to make a steak, medium rare. It's going to have, I'm going to season the hell out of it.
You would cook it?
I will make it. Yes. And I'm going to melt some butter all over the damn thing. By the way, and I'd love a nice steakhouse will do the same thing. I'm going to have some mashed potatoes that are going to be screaming with butter, with cream, with chives and some bacon.
Yeah.
Some gravy. Man, take me home.
That's it.
Oh,
so are you a chef? Can you cook?
I love cooking. I love cooking.
All right.
I love creating new things. The Black Stone has been my new fun friend. I love having people over, and we just had my wife's mom's birthday this past weekend, and we had about 20 people over, and I cranked out about 40 sliders of different varieties: chicken parm, chicken cordon bleu, burgers, some bacon, ham, caramelized onion stuff. So Daddy loves to eat. There's no question.
Good.
And flavor is my friend.
All right. I love it. You're a foodie. I'm more of a drinky, but to each their own. All right. Last question.
You gotta drink while you cook too.
Well, yeah. No, that's part of the experience. All right. Last one. What's one song you have to sing along to? If that song comes on, you got to belt out the jam and just cruise with it. What would that song be to you?
Oh man, there's about 4,000. I was in a heavy metal band in high school, so I listened to all heavy stuff, rap, now, life of the world of country and everything. I would say really anything 311. Metallica back in the day was definitely my jam. But one that really because we'll just tie it all together. It's not fun. But back on the when I went to the mountain for the first time, I was on a plane. I was on the plane going out there to Colorado, and I'm prepping to get out there. Right, there's some prep work to get your mind right, and I felt like the flight out there was going to be my best option versus trying to find time through the kiddos. And my damn Spotify playlist didn't download, and so I was like, well, whatever the plane has. So I Delta flight, and Chris Stapleton's Starting Over came on as I'm going through this. And it really has nothing to do with what I was turning it into. But I think I hit that replay on that no less than 30 times.
Wow.
And I'm tearing up and I'm filling this thing out because it really felt like I'm going out here to really start this whole thing fresh. I'm thinking of my wife, I'm thinking of, and my relationships. And so that just comes to my mind of really right now of this stage of my life of that really is ringing for me.
Yeah.
Other than that, I sing in the shower. I sing my kids. I annoy the hell out of my kids with singing and everything. So, yeah, I'm everything.
I love the answer. It's not about me, but this would tie up the show. Mine is journey. Don't stop believing. And as any entrepreneur, you don't stop believing, baby. So, John, thank you so much for being the first guest on the Delegate to Innovate podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Angott, the $7 an hour entrepreneur. Thank you all for listening. Peace.
Thanks, man. Had a blast.